All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. We have another fun and great evening ahead of us here. We got the Dalmore 15. Really excited about that. Apparently, it got some really good ratings. A 98, I think Jesse was mentioning here. From there, we have our shout outs and get it togethers, along with our wonderful restaurant review of Mama Louise. And then to follow that up with our smarter challenge of being the Godfather review, or I'm not sure exactly what kind of avenue we're taking on it, but it's on the Godfather.
The Godfather.
The Godfather.
Scotch Reviewed.
We're going to make an offer they can't refuse. All right. So we have got the Dalmore 15-year Scotch here. And we've reviewed a couple other Dalmores at this point. Episode 6.
Sure.
We reviewed the Dalmore 12-year.
Okay.
50 episodes later, episode 56, we reviewed the cigar malt. And here we are at episode 62 with the 15. And as you mentioned with the previous Dalmore reviews, some great heritage, lineage, and history goes along with this Dalmore Scotch namesake. Colin of Kintail, chief of Clan Mackenzie, saved King Alexander III from a wild stag that was running at him, risking his life. And with that, the king granted the Clan Mackenzie the right to use the 12-horn stag on their coat of arms. Way down the road later, we're talking like 500 years later, 1867, the clan purchases the Dalmore distillery, and since then has used that 12-point stag as the symbol of their fine scotches, their promise to really continue to drive to make the finest single malt.
And they do make a really great single malt. I think everything we tried so far, it's been pretty stellar.
Yeah, I literally am super excited for this one, partially because, as Noah mentioned, this one received a little while back a 98-point score at a competition of which we loved the cigar malt, and it only received a 93-point score. So what do those extra 5 points taste like? I can't wait to find out.
Neither can I. And I guess that was at the International Wine and Spirits Competition in 2019.
Yeah, just a couple years ago.
Versus the cigar malt, which was a 93 at the Ultimate Spirits Competition in 2019.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because Richard Patterson is the master distiller for Dalmore, and Greg Glass, the master whiskey crafter, if you will, they hand select the casks from the Gonzalez Baez family of sherry. They get all of the 30-year casks. So all of their casks that have 30-year aged sherry in them go to the Dalmore distillery for part of their craft to make their scotches.
All right. Anything else you got on there?
No, I mean, we mentioned, the Dalmore has a basic selection, the principal collection, if you will. We've talked about the Sherry Cask Select, the Portwood Reserve, the Dalmore 12, which we've tried. This evening's Dalmore 15 will be, I'm sure, a treat. The Seagal Malt Reserve, the King Alexander III, which we have not tried yet, but we have procured ourselves a bottle, and then the Dalmore 25 is part of that principal collection. Beyond that, they do have another collection of which starts 10-year scotches and goes up to 60 years. So they pick basically the finest vintage of each decade. They call it the Decade Collection, and have scotches up to 60 years old as part of this series. So
you might have mentioned it and I probably didn't hear it or wasn't paying attention. But what area is Dalmore again from?
It is a Highlands single malt Scotch whiskey.
Highlands, okay. And what was the ABV on this?
This particular one, we're sitting at, let's see here, I believe it is, I don't even see it on the bottle. That's not legal. 40%. So not high, not anticipating it to be too hot from an alcohol standpoint.
You'll burn your eye out, kid.
But it is a 40% ABV. The bottle always speaks for itself. We've always respected the mature look of this bottle, something you could definitely bring to any number of events and fun parties, basically, man. Life is a party.
It must be Italian frangili.
Frangili. All right. So they do have the trademark, and Macallan does this as well. Hologram seal, so you know your bottle is part of their authentic line. And with that,
for some reason, I thought
strong
the
foil.
Macallan put their hologram like right in the middle where you have to tear it
yeah,
off.
you have to tear it off. The Dalmore's is a little bit lower there, not necessarily torn off.
Glug, 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 glug.
It's got some good color, Noah.
Yes, it does.
Oh, man.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's almost kind of an orangish color to me.
It's probably those Gonzalez Bias sherry 30-year-old casks.
Probably. Way to go, Gonzalez. Arriba, arriba. Andale, andale, andale.
Spanish, just in case anyone's wondering where Gonzalez came from.
Speedy Gonzalez, man. You know, I don't think the kids nowadays will be able to appreciate Speedy Gonzalez.
I don't think so either. I almost feel like modern society would say that's an inappropriate show.
Dude, Speedy Gonzalez was one of the best cartoon characters ever.
Yeah, what about Woody Woodpecker? What does that say, you know?
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry? I don't know.
Arriba, arriba, andale, andale.
All right. Well, as we dive into this,
Oh, cheers.
cheers.
And we're off to our cut. Wow, this is this Dalmore 15, very, very super impressive. I thought the cigar Dalmore was great, but this one, it just seems a lot more refined to me. Where like the cigar one, I definitely would want to smoke a cigar with it. This one, I just think it has it's smooth.
It is smooth. Smooth operator.
It is, yeah, smooth operator. It's like even on the bouquet. There's just subtle hints of of a few different things. I get a subtle hint of a chocolate orange with potpourri or some kind of floral scent to it. And then when I go and taste it, the front palate, it's just more like an orange zest. And it's kind of a light orange zest. I mean, if I'm not really looking for it, I think I would miss it. And it's just right there, just a nice little hint of it. There's a little bit of a spicy note in there, and I can't really pinpoint what that spice is. I don't know if it's the ginger that supposedly some other reviewers have said, or if it's cinnamon or whatever. But there's a slight hint of something that that kicks up a slight bit of a spice there. But what I really, really do enjoy is the long, lingering finish where I get malt barley with espresso and vanilla. And it's so tasty. And the color, you get this nice...
Oh, yeah, the color is awesome.
This nice brassy color to it with almost like an orange hue to it. It's like an orange hue, brassy color. And I like the darkness of it. And really, it's just the smell... The bouquet of it is very inviting to drink. It's not going to overpower you like maybe some of the ones from is it Isla?
Isla.
Where we have the Lagavulin. Some people say it smells like a Band-Aid, but it's really not. Really
It's Pete. Not Mr. Pete. Pete as in.
But yeah, I like this. I think this is I don't think I would take it to like a poker game. I don't think I would take it to like a
poker game.
No, I think, if I'm going to drink this, I'd probably would want to sit down with a good friend or something and enjoy it. It's not something I just take. It's not something I take to like most gatherings. And here's the reason why is because I'm selfish.
That's real. That's honest.
Because here's the thing, like if you take it, here's the problem I have. Like when you go take a nice bottle of scotch to a function.
Oh my God.
Or any kind of nice liquor to a function. One, you don't get to drink as much of it as you would like. Two, most people don't seem to appreciate it.
I still remember the bottle of Lagavulin at your mom's wedding. That went down pretty well between three of us.
Yeah, well, we definitely did appreciate that one. But in most cases, you don't really I find in a lot of occasions, for instance, right now, and I'll go back to this one again. At a Christmas party, right? There was this single malt scotch, and the guy did not drink this. He didn't drink the scotch. He didn't savor it and sip it and all that type of stuff. He just downed it if it was a regular shot of maybe Jack Daniels. And that to me there's that lack of appreciation. Maybe I'm not sure what it is, but maybe just on a selfish side, I think this bottle here is someone I would rather share with people or someone I know that would appreciate it. And it's just really elegant.
Elegant is a great word for this scotch. Elegant. I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect for the Godfather. I can see the Godfather drinking this.
Yeah, I could. I can even see James Bond drinking this one.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of suaveness that goes to this. A little bit of panache. It's not. It has style to it.
It has a lot of style to it.
And I think
dark green bottle or box bottle.
And the thing with the dark green box, it just kind of gives you I think it goes very well with the 12-pointed stag, with forest and stuff like that. And it's not being overly flashy. It's just being very classical and just like I said, I guess earlier, elegant.
Yeah.
So that's my review.
Jacket and tie required.
Yeah.
Much like yourself, I am digging this scotch. I think elegant, your word of choice for this, is perfect for it. The color is a rich brass. It is fantastic in the glass. It looks great on the nose for me. It's not overly powerful, but I get slight hints of orange, and I get a slight hints of what I have to call citrus floral. So citrus flowers from a citrus tree. Nothing that is a sharp rose or so notable as a petunia or flowers you might normally see growing in a yard, but something as you're walking through a citrus grove and it's blooming season, that smell, that citrus floral smell is what I get from it, and I dig it, and there's just a touch of nutmeg. That transitions, man, from the aroma or the nose into the palate. It is divine. Again.
It slaps.
It slaps.
Sorry.
No, it does.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's good.
I had to use your vernacular there.
Yeah, it's good because it does slap, and it's not powerful. It actually almost starts off a little slow. The 40% ABV, you're not tasting the alcohol at all. On the front of the palate is that hint of orange, but not like a sweet orange, more like that orange zest or that orange that's been cooked. And I would have to say, for me, it's that caramelized orange.
There you go.
A burnt orange, which you get in some fancy drinks sometimes. You burn the orange peel, get that smoke into the drink. That's kind of what I'm getting from the front of this.
Yeah, I can see that more than the zest.
Yeah,
maybe.
And then it transitions, and here was where it actually really gets exciting. You mentioned a long finish, and that it does have. This is a lady pleaser for sure. In the middle, though, it transitions from this caramelized orange to this rich creamy vanilla, and then further transitions to the hints of coffee or espresso. And then finally, it's not super sweet, but there is sweet in there. It's rich chocolate, rich dark chocolate, and it finishes there, and it's fantastic. This is a dynamite Scotch.
It's divine.
It's like right around that $130 price point, $130 to $150, depending on where you get it. Most places we've gone have been out of it. They have a selection of Dalmore, not typically this one, some of the less expensive ones, some of the more expensive ones. But for a 15-year, I can see why this got an amazing rating, because I give it the same. This is great.
It is. It's wonderful. All right. Hey, I don't know what else to say about this one other than if you see it, grab it and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Grab it like you want it.
Yeah, drop it like it's hot. That's what you'll be doing to your wallet when you say goodbye to the $150.
So yeah, it's a great bottle. Enjoy it. You could take it to like a nice event or whatever.
Nice event.
Yeah, nice event. But honestly, here once again, this is where I say I'm selfish. I probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah, Greg Glass, master whiskey maker, and Richard Patterson, master distiller. Hats off to you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Fun. It's an easy drink, almost too easy.
It's very much too easy. And if I didn't have to work tomorrow morning, I probably would wake up with a hangover.
Guess who doesn't have to work tomorrow? This guy.
Yeah, that's like every Monday.
It's time for our shout-outs.
I mean, do you want me to go first?
If you want to.
All right, so Verstappen. Amazing job winning the Grand Prix, the first inaugural Miami Grand Prix, once again defeating his competition under a safety car and overtaking. Like, the Verstappen rule can't stop Verstappen. He is still doing it. He is still winning races behind safety cars with great strategy, which, again, hats off to Red Bull. Cheers to you guys. Great strategy, great team. Obviously, he's doing far better than his teammate. They both have good experience. I think just Verstappen's the guy. And I hate to say it, but going into this race, it ended like I thought it would. Ferrari took the pole, had no doubt that was going to happen. As a matter of fact, they took first and second off the starting grid. So great job to Ferrari. That's my other Formula One shout out. But man, it literally has to go to Verstappen, Red Bull Racing, and we're not allowed to call it the Honda engine. It's the Red Bull power unit. But man, Honda continues to deliver with this engine. They're not even like out there putting their name on. That's crazy to me. So I'm doing it for them because they're making the engine for Red Bull, but they told them, hey, call it your power unit. You can't use our name, which is just absurd to me. Like, be proud of this engine. You guys have done a dynamite job with this turbo, producing well in excess of 1,000 horsepower, delivering great results with a car. This is where it goes back to Red Bull and Verstappen, that they've made drivable by Verstappen. That's great in race setups. Yeah, guess what, guys? If you are willing to risk it all, you can get a pole position and sell some Ferraris on Monday. At the end of the day, what do you want? You want the race win. That's worth more points than the pole position. And Verstappen, awesome. And you know me, I could literally talk about Formula One forever. But my other shout out goes actually to Noah this go around, and for continuing to want to learn more about Formula One racing after watching a couple races and diving into a game and logging in. I'll let you share the numbers if you want to. Just an absurd number of hours in a very short time period to learn and understand this fascination of mine that's been long-standing. But I think it's awesome that you wanted to learn more, and you have, and you see that same experience now.
Yeah, F1, honestly, I've never been big into racing. Cars are... I do appreciate a nice car, but I don't get really excited about nice cars or anything like that. But being able to experience something like the F1 racing here, and then diving into that video game, obscene. I'm talking about obscene, nasty, dirty money, obscene amounts of money gets paid out.
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I'd say it has to be close. For a top team, has to be close to $1 billion that they pay out for for a top team, like for all the research that they do and what they have to pay the drivers and all the stuff that goes into it. Oh my God. It's like, and you know, the game doesn't even take into consideration like travel. Like you gotta travel the cars all around the world and stuff like that. Dude, it's just incredible. But I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it, and it is very much a team sport. Like the drivers, you got to have a great driver, and you got to have a great team behind that driver, because honestly, there's so much that goes into it, all the like the little parts and all the nuances besides just the actual driving. That was nothing to do with any of my shout outs. So
I'm actually grateful because we talked a lot about you having a new understanding and appreciation for the amount of research that has to go into these cars. And they are in many ways as complicated, if not more complicated, because they have to change from season to season than airplanes and helicopters. So yeah, my shout out goes to you for learning a ton in a very short period of time.
Well, thank you. So I got 3 shout outs here. My very first shout out is going to go to Rich Strike.
Okay.
That is the horse in the Kentucky Derby. It was like near the back end of the pack.
A Cinderella story.
And also zooms up like right in that final furlong and takes the win. So good job to that horse and the jockey and the owner. The next up on my shout outs here is going to be Maggiano's. We've talked about Maggiano's a couple times on the show, and they still deliver. Maggiano's Little Italy, and we went there for my mother's Day celebration, and we did the family meal. Here's the unbelievable part. It's still $36.99, even with all the inflation, and they still didn't skip on the food.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best parts are you get a salad, two appetizers, 4 main dishes.
That's where it's unbeatable. Like honestly,
and you get dessert, 2 desserts. And here's the thing, it's like unlimited. So if you eat up all of one, they'll ask you if you want more of it.
Yeah.
And on top of it, you know, my younger brother took some food home. My mom, my stepdad took some food home, and the lady knew that we all wanted some tiramisu, so she brought out 3 extra full tiramisus, so we all got to take home tiramisu.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Maggiano's totally delivers. The price point is exactly right. I mean, you can't beat the amount of food that you get for that price point.
Yeah.
And the last one is going to Dinesh D'Souza. I probably mispronounced his name, but he is the guy that worked with a couple other groups, and they did the movie 2,000 Mules. And that's where they actually broke down all the data using pings from cellular towers to actually find the people who were abusing the voting using paper ballots and dropping them into the mailboxes. And the filter that they used was that these people had to go to a minimum of 10 different drop boxes and go visit a nonprofit organization. And they found that there was enough that happened that could have flipped the election over from Biden to Trump. And it's very real. Like, if you haven't seen the movie or really looked into what they're talking about, they have all the data. They got the videos from the states that are, because like each drop box is supposed to have a video or a camera that watches those drop boxes that's actually maintained by the states. And so they got all that, and they were able to get all the tower pings and all that. So very impressive. So big shout out to them.
That's a good one.
I don't know if it's going to result in anything.
Nah, unfortunately, I don't know that it will either.
But yeah, it's definitely shows you that the election was stolen. I'm also going to give myself a shout out. I got a promotion, man. How can I not give myself a shout out?
There you go. I was going to mention that one, but I wasn't sure if you wanted that one public knowledge.
That's all right. I got a promotion, so
It's awesome. Promotion and things that go along with that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is a big deal. I know you worked hard on this. And again, I'm not going to go into a ton of details because it's not truly mine to share, but it was impressive for me to see from the outside looking at the things you did to deliver ultimately a presentation. You're doing an interview as a presentation and everything you had to do going into that for, what was that, 6 weeks worth of work?
8 weeks.
8 weeks worth of work. And yeah, so I agree. Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I did not get a promotion or anything that goes with it, which is really sad to me. But I also didn't put forth the 8 weeks of work you did.
Wow. I mean, you did get moved to another store.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a promotion. I'm in like Crime Central, man.
All right. Do you have any get-it-togethers?
My only get it together is a continuation of the previous ones. Get it together, administration running this country. Whether you really won an election or it was stolen for you or by you or because of you, whatever the answer is, the economy continues to do poorly, and now further ramifications are being seen. We're giving away money to Ukraine when we have desolate war zone looking cities in our own country, people living in tents here in Denver, and really... stop trying to be the world police when your own senators, your own Democratic senators are saying there's no threat from Russia, yet we've already depleted our own resources of Stinger missiles to even help them. So all we can give them is money. Okay, yeah. But yeah, just really start looking at our own country and fixing what you can here. I don't know what you were focused on. Like, do people think about this? I did not vote for Biden. I absolutely would have voted for Kanye West over Biden. I actually think Kanye West has more of a mind in his body than Biden does. But for those that did, like, what has he delivered for us? Nothing. Like, for me, that is a truth. I see no policy changes that were good. I see now we're allowing oil drilling in our resources, but we should have never shut it off. And I'm really struggling to understand how this happened again, because it's not the first time a politician was put in the White House and was able to destroy it's not just one predecessor, but multiple predecessors' work that improved, that where we saw positive changes. And I literally can't figure out, like, okay, what has he done that's good? There is a newfound border crisis. It is getting worse every day. The economy is getting worse, especially if you're playing the stock market or cryptos or trying to save money. It's not happening because everything's going up in price except for Maggiano's family meal. And really just, get it together.
So mine is along the same lines of the Biden administration, but slightly bit different than yours.
I'm guessing I know.
Mine has to do more along with the lines of around May 22nd of this year. The rumor is that Biden's administration is handing over basically medical rights over to the WHO, which is supposedly
World Health Organization.
Yeah. So basically, however the WHO rules is supposedly supposed to supersede our Constitution, which is actually illegal.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He's probably actually did try it though.
Well, I'm sure. Even the Paris Accord was illegal and goes against our Constitution. But yet they still did try to push it through and sign it. And because people don't know their rights and they don't know the Constitution, things like this slip through. So right now I'm doing a get it together that like this, they should not be making any kind of treaty or giving any kind of leeway to the World Health Organization or the UN or anybody like that regarding like how health is done in our country.
Yeah, I think the best get it together for us that kind of sums it up also is almost, it's tragic, but almost get it together America. Like, how are we letting this happen to us? And that's one of the things that I know you and I have talked about it. And I actually appreciate your influence there, as well as I love how my kids actually have a head on their shoulders where they think about, hey man, like this doesn't make any sense. So Biden is trying to take away our rights when it was about the pandemic, COVID and vaccine mandates. And why are all these women and this is last year, why are all these women at this pro-rights event talking about, yeah, we need the right to have an abortion, yet they gave up their right for their medical rights with COVID. They literally are parallels. They're both medical rights, and they were completely okay giving up one piece, but why are they at this thing? Like, do they not see the parallel?
I don't think they do. And here, this might as well be another get it together here
dude,
for you.
That's the one I thought you were going to mention.
But here's the thing: for all the people out there who are saying like Roe versus Wade is like getting rid of abortion and saying women can't get an abortion anymore, that's incorrect. All it's really doing is it's reverting the rule of law back to the states. The states, each individual state is supposed to rule on something like that. And so, really the SCOTUS, good job to them. So that's a shout out because they've actually ruled in the correct way. And then to get it together is for all the whiny little bitches out there who's crying and saying that they can't have abortions anymore, because they can. It's just it's up to the states now. It's state law.
And that's true. And that's really what the Constitution was always about.
Exactly. All right, before we get too further down this rabbit hole,
dude, that went pretty dark.
let's talk about our restaurant.
Good job, Mila and Aiden. Just saying, thank you for understanding you want to protect your rights. Restaurant review. Now, the restaurant review.
Mama Louise.
That's right. So, Mama Louise, a little Italian restaurant, currently located, has been moved from time to time, but currently located at Orchard and Parker Road, founded in 1978, and it was a treat. It was fun. I don't know that it's like the best Italian restaurant I've ever been to, or it's even in the top 3, but it was great food, good value, and it was fun. It was fun.
I would say food versus value, good. Yeah. Would I say it's like one of the best Italian restaurants I've been to? Maybe not in the top 3 or 4 or 5, but hey, the meal that I got was delicious.
Mine too.
And the price point was, it was a good price point. Mm-hmm. The wine list probably could have used a little bit more beefing up, but
agreed. That was the one area where my critique was the negative.
Yeah, other than the wine list, I think it'd be aces there, really.
Yeah.
Minus the wine list.
Yeah, I agree. So we started off sharing a couple of appetizers, the deluxe garlic bread and the Italian egg rolls. The Italian egg rolls were a huge win.
That was the bomb.
Dude, they were the bomb. I thought the deluxe garlic bread was okay. It wasn't great. It was
garlic bread.
Yeah, it was garlic bread with cheese on it. It was not the Italian egg rolls. Those were amazing. Dips in a little marinara. Fantastic.
I have to concur. The Italian egg rolls were super good. It was honestly, it was a great take on it, on like doing a whole like Asian Italian fusion type of thing, and they played it off very well, and it worked out great, and I loved it.
I did too. And then, so part of this Italian tradition, I think this is a fair thing to say, most more traditional Italian restaurants, which I actually do put Maggiano's in there as well, you do get soup and salad with your dinner. And we did have house salad I had their Italian dressing and the soup. Both, again, were great additions to the overall meal.
I happen to agree. I had the same thing.
I think the one thing we said about the salad we both would have liked is a little bit of red onion. That was the only thing that was missing.
Red onion and some olives.
There we go, olives. And that's one of those tricky things because you don't want to overcomplicate it. Not everyone likes onion. Not everyone likes olives. So now are you asking, or half of your guests asking you to take them off? Well, make them ask. Because for me, again, that would have been the dynamite. That would have been those little steps would have brought that salad and soup up to top 3.
Yeah, so that salad is just like any kind of average dinner salad that you would receive. Mm-hmm. You throw in a little bit of that red onion and some olives in there. I think that kicks it up into that upper tier of salads.
All right. Do you want to start with your main course first?
Sure, I can do that. I went with the chicken franchise. I can say franchise, but it's franchisee or franchise.
Franchise, something like that.
Something like that. Basically, what it is, it's just breaded chicken in lemon butter, and it was, and I think it had. I'm not sure what kind of noodles it was. Maybe was it linguine noodles?
It looked like linguine.
Yeah. So the sauce. I'll just say this: like, I think my theme for the night at dinner was lemon, and this will make more sense here when we talk about the dessert part too.
Dude, yes.
So I ordered like I said, the chicken franchise breaded chicken with lemon butter. Super. It was super good. The lemon butter sauce was incredible. I know you tried a little bit of it, and
I thought it was amazing. Like, I could understand why the chicken so thinly prepared. It was like the perfect veal or chicken marsala or parmigiana or whatever you want. It was just perfectly tender.
It was
so good,
and it was great. I would highly recommend it. Like, when I went there, I actually was not going to order that whatsoever. But I asked the waitress, who I believe was the wife of the owner.
I believe so.
I asked her, I let her know I'd never been there before and what she would recommended. She said that. So I said, okay.
That was your second theme of the night, asking her what she recommended, and she did not steer you wrong, in my opinion.
She did not. It was good because, like, my runner-up was actually the dish that you got.
Yes, and that dish was the rigatoni Dominique, and man, mine was also fantastic. So you had mushrooms and sausage in this creamy tomato sauce, and man, it's tough because I'm still thinking. Rigatoni D at Maggiano's is delicious. This was very different, vastly different. So this had sausage in it as opposed to chicken. And the cream sauces, the tomato was much more prevalent here with the Rigatoni Dominique. But I'm really struggling to decide, like, if I had my choice, which one would I go for if I on a random Wednesday? Because the Rigatoni D is so good. It's never let me down.
We had the Rigatoni D.
Dude, it literally has never let me down. But what I gotta tell you is this Rigatoni Dominique, there was something about the sausage and how it cooked into this creamy tomato sauce.
I'm gonna have to go back there and actually, like, get a full dish of it.
Yeah, man. Or we could just go back someday for a quick meal and share one, because these are pretty good portions. It was again, man. It would probably go great with the Scotch. It definitely went well with the wine. Again, that was the one thing that I would say also with the takeaway is, man, the wine list wasn't poor. It just wasn't rich.
Yeah, here the thing is, like, they did have
it was a good selection.
It was a good selection, but here's where I think they failed on the selection, is that they had some well-named wineries on their wine selection. However, it was like a lot of the lower tier of the wines. So, like the Gabbiano, I don't mind the Gabbiano Reserva, but they had the white label, and the white label is no Reserva, and the Gabbiano Reserva probably would have tasted way better.
Particularly with both of our meals.
Oh, yeah. All right, desserts. I picked, and I think this is a total win.
Dude, it was a total win.
But I went with the limoncello cake. Basically, just think it is the tiramisu cake, but instead of using the
chocolate espresso,
they use limoncello.
And I went with the chocolate cake. Now, we were so
that was
full.
by default, though. That was by default because you actually wanted tiramisu.
That's true. They were out of the tiramisu, which thankfully snagged me a piece of from Maggiano's, which I will be trying with this Scotch here shortly. But with that, we were both pretty full, so we decided we would bring those desserts home. And then you were kind enough to share your lemon cake. That chocolate cake was mediocre. It was good. It wasn't great. The bites I had of your limoncello cake, Oh my God. I want this whole thing for my birthday.
It's amazing. That limoncello cake. Like I told my parents, I'm like, I think I might have found my new favorite like dessert because like tiramisu has always been my favorite.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had this one. I'm like, whoa, what have I
Dude,
been missing? Where were you my whole life?
Yeah, no, I am right there with you. I want to go back and literally buy one of these cakes and be like, okay, I didn't know if I'm like just in a mood or is this cake really that good? Because it's like when you go out in your backyard and you're going to go water your lawn, smoke a cigar and drink some scotch and all of a sudden a supermodel's walking next to your house. That's how good that cake was.
I don't know if it's like so good because it was like something you just first time ever having, or is it really that good?
I think it's really that good. And I also think that even though it wasn't necessarily perfect, the compliment was probably like really having a little bit of chocolate with it to really emphasize how great that lemon flavor was. It was much like this scotch with its flavors. It was divine. This lemon was just like, damn, they found the best. This ain't no regular lemon cake.
So yeah, if you guys ever do go to Mama Louise, definitely get the limoncello cake.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I don't care about anything else. Just get the limoncello cake.
Yeah. I mean, the dinners were both good too.
They were.
Overall restaurant review for me.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We didn't even get to that point
Man,
yet.
would I take a first date there? Yes, it was fun. They're only open 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. They're closed on Sundays. You got a 4-hour window, get in and get out type of situation. But would I take a first date there? Yes. Would I go there with a friend? Yes. The decor, the inside was actually, again, it was fun, not sexy. But still classical and respectable, and it was good fun. They were running fountains. There was good art, real art, and not your average run of the mill place. It was no disappointment. It just wasn't sexy. The food for me overall, man, you like when you consider all the pieces. So you got the appetizers. One was like a 10, and the other one was average, a 5. So you're talking like 7.5. The dinner was absolutely at least an 8. My dessert, the chocolate cake, was, again, it was a 5. Overall, between decor, restaurant, and everything else, you take a first date there, you can impress with the food. Overall, it is an 8. It was good. Man, I am always really hard on Italian restaurants, though. And that is the thing. The service was good. Yeah, it was fun. So I do recommend it.
So I would agree with you. Food wise, everything, I'd give it a solid 8. Maybe you could bump it up to an 8.5, but I think really what would help get it like a little bit higher up on that scale is having like some like a little bit better wines on the list.
Wine list would have taken it to an 8.5 for me easily.
But first date worthy, definitely. Meeting a friend there, definitely. If you're gonna go if you're looking for a business dinner, definitely. But as you said, like the inside of it was like nothing phenomenal. It wasn't like you walked in and you're like, ooh, wow, this is a cool looking restaurant. But at the same time, you're not walking in there thinking like, oh, this is a cheap place. I agree with you. 8 overall. So
yeah, that's a solid score, guys. Like you're not going wrong.
We do. I would admit this too. 8s in an Italian restaurant because of how hard we grade Italians.
We're hard on Italian restaurants.
So I mean, I think comparative wise, if we went to like some kind of like a sports pub, it would be like a 9 for a sports pub. Yeah,
and that's actually a really good point. We're just hard on Italian restaurants because our, there is something where like from a youth, even when we were in high school, man, sexy restaurants were Italian restaurants. Like you weren't going to a burger joint if you were going on a first date. You're gonna get her some Italian, good Italian. We're not talking pizza. Nothing wrong with pizza, but yeah, man, Italian restaurants are they're the aim. They're the mark.
Smarter Challenges.
Godfather, 1972. Francis Ford Coppola, Marlon Brando. man, it's an interesting movie. So
Al Pacino.
For me, like Al Pacino was, he's Michael. He is the movie. He's the future of the movie. But for me, it was really interesting because growing up, Marlon Brando was a stud. Like everyone talked about him. But really, right before this movie, for 12 years before this movie, he had done squat. His career was going down the toilet. He had done great things like A Streetcar Named Desire, and then he was doing turd work better than the work I'm doing. So I can't say anything. This is not a cheap cut at him. But what it is saying, man, The Godfather rejuvenated his career, really injected all of these guys with so much testosterone that they were Arnold Schwarzenegger winning his bodybuilding championships afterwards. The Godfather, man, what are your, like, when you think of the Godfather movie, what do you like think of initially before you rewatch it? Was there anything that stood out to you?
Well, it was I think it kind of like embodies the persona of an Italian family. And I'm not talking like just like talking about like the mafioso type of family, not
right.
And more of the traditional sense of before, the drugs started really playing a huge role into it. Yeah. And I think also it kind of shows a little bit more of the I don't want to say more naive or innocent time in America, but really from like the 40s to like the 60s before you had like the hard drugs hitting. There was a little bit more of a respectability about everything. You just look inside of like, the family there, and there is respect that's given. I don't know. I thought I liked it. But I've always liked mafioso type of movies.
I have too, and it's interesting because like a couple short numbers out there, which is crazy to think about. So before the film came out in 1972, shortly before, 3 years before, I believe it was, Paramount Pictures obtained the rights to this screenplay for $80,000. That's like nothing.
Oh yeah,
$80,000. They got the rights to the screenplay. It hadn't become a big hit yet. It was based off of a book originally, then became adapted and became a screenplay. And then a few short years later, 1972, it's released March of 1972, and immediately goes to the highest earning movie ever in the box office. Here's what's funny. If you look up the results, the research says it was somewhere between 250 million and 291 million. Now, wait a minute. We're talking about a variance of 41 million. Maybe there was a little mob skimming and work in the middle there.
Possibly.
I mean, you're talking about 40 million missing out of 300. 15% sounds about right for my take. But it's great, and it is really based off of like the 1945 to 1955 era of the mafia, the mob, and the crime families who at the beginning, to your point, they're all very respectable and also respectful, and then you see the different pieces of greed come in. Some of them are interested in drugs, some of them are interested in doing what's right, others are trying to gain territory.
So here's a big thing that I've seen here is like it talks about it, they don't really talk about it, but you could tell back in that time frame men had a code.
Oh yeah.
And all these guys had a code to them. And they upheld that code. And then the other thing I've also learned, if you were to compare someone from back then possibly to, I'm not going to really say necessarily to today's time, but a person's word back then seemed to mean a lot more than someone today. And I get that just from my experience from like interviewing people and studying stuff like that. Like they're like, yeah, well, we'll do an interview, and then all of a sudden like the person doesn't show. or they don't call you, that's just, and that's just like one example. But there's like, you can see like there's a ton of examples where people say things and then they just don't hold up to their end. So I think a person's word was a much stronger bond back then than it is today.
I think there's two sides to that, and I think the other side is the opposite side held people accountable to their word in the past, and now they're just like, they didn't mean it. Then why'd they say it? Say what you mean. It's a really good point. I asked you for my own giggles and laughs what you remembered of the movie before you watched it. And the reason I asked that is because before I rewatched it, what I remember, and this is like weird, and I don't know why I remember a couple of things. I remember Marlon Brando in his tuxedo with his bow tie looking sharp as, if I can look that good at that age, I am golden. Like, I don't care about anything else. That's not true. I care about everything else too, but I feel great. He looks the part. He looks divine. Much like this scotch or our dinner, the main courses. And, but what besides that, and a couple of those catchphrases, we're going to make him an offer he can't refuse, that really stand out is, man, I remember Michael being in love with Diane Keaton's character, and then he runs off to Sicily because
and his wife blows up.
Dude, so he gets married. Her name, I believe, was Apollonia. Is that right? Something like that. He marries another girl, even though he always loved Diane Keaton. He marries another girl. She gets blown up in a car bomb that was intended for him. And then he later comes back and marries Diane Keaton's character, Kay. And as a kid, that's what I remember.
Okay, as a kid.
Dude, it was so messed up. Why as a kid am I thinking about love? That's the fail of a true romantic right there.
So you remember when you asked me before we watched the movie and you're like, hey, what do you remember from the movie? And I said, oh, isn't that the movie where the guy who had a horse's head in his bed?
Yes.
So that's what I remembered as a kid is a horse's head in a bed.
So I do remember that, but that's like my fifth memory. That's way down the list.
That's one of my top ones. But that's one of my top ones. Like the guy didn't want to do what the Godfather wanted.
Yeah, the Godfather was trying to get his nephew that part in the movie, and it was Hollywood. That's actually real for the mob in Hollywood.
Yeah. And so the guy's like, yeah, I'm not gonna put your godson in my movie. And so
godson, that's right, not nephew.
So
here's your prize horse.
Vito made sure that there
made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
So yeah, that was one thing I remembered. The other thing I remembered was Michael Corleone's wife being blown up in the car.
So you remember that too? It's not just me.
No, I remember her being blown up in the car, but I was kind of confused because I remember his wife being blown up in the car, but I kind of forgot that he went back to Diane Keaton's character.
So here's what's interesting about that. I think for me, when I think about why did that impact me so much is because there were two sides. I don't think he ever really loved her. I don't know. The first wife that blew up in the car, I think he always loved Kay, Diane Keaton's character. But the other piece is that I've been able to think about and tie it is, man, not that she was actually a mother, but that was a mother. That was a mother figure. That was a possible mother of children of a great man. And that as a kid had a huge impact on me, more so than the horse head.
Well, here's another thing though. If you're going to be in the mafia, right? They're part of the code too. Is you want to make sure you want to keep it, as being Sicilian. And so him going after Kay was actually going outside of the family.
Yeah, she's white toast.
And so really, personally, I think he feel bad for the wife that blew up, but that's when he should have been with.
The wife that blew up?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to keep bloodlines, but life is greater than that.
Not even bloodlines, but I think she'd be even probably end up being a better wife for the whole lifestyle.
More understanding of his lifestyle, most likely. But it was necessary for the screenplay and the book and the movie is Diane Keaton's character Kay really being like, hey man, there are some parts of this, I get it. Like, I think at one point he actually shuns her away, and she's like, I get it, but yeah, she's also letting him know, like, hey man, make good choices. And I think that's also very important. Like, we have kids. You didn't have any kids with her. We have kids. Don't be an idiot. Protect your kids. Protect the future.
So, all right, what else do you want to talk about on this movie?
It's considered the second greatest movie of all time, and I actually put it pretty close to that as well, if not there, only behind Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane is a great movie, but I think I like this more than Citizen Kane.
Entertainment-wise, I agree. But when you think about filmography and what changed the world of movies and entertainment as we know it, Citizen Kane created a foundation that this would have never had without Citizen Kane.
That's probably true.
Rosebud!
I guess if you're doing that, though, I imagine like The Matrix with how they advance movies, too, that would have to be up there.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. But man, I'll watch The Godfather 10 times over before I watch The Matrix twice. And I will watch Citizen Kane probably 3 times before I'll watch The Matrix twice.
I've never been a huge fan of Citizen Kane, though.
I don't think unless you I look at it from the study of film that you can appreciate it. Because right now, if we were to go watch it right now and just think of it, okay, so we know nothing about these 2 movies, The Matrix or Citizen Kane. Let's watch Citizen Kane and then we'll watch The Matrix. Man, The Matrix would blow it out of the water and we'd be like, why did we waste 2 hours of our lives on Citizen Kane? But when you know that nothing had been done especially when it pertains to cinematography from perspectives and dimensions, Citizen Kane brought that into light.
I get that. I mean, and I did study film. I studied German film and society.
Nosferatu.
At the University of Colorado in Boulder. So we did we broke down film and stuff like that, and we broke it down into better understand the society. Mm-hmm. And German film rivaled that of Hollywood back in the early 1920s and 30s.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the other thing is there's a lot of things going on around the world. And man, noir films from France, dude, still some of my favorite. Like, I love things like Sin City.
So there's like Nicolas Cage. He even mentions... why
does he get such a bad rap?
I don't know.
Like, the more I think about it, he may not be this best actor, but man, he provides awesome entertainment.
So his number 2 movie, right, along with Pedro Pascal's, in that movie, they named Dr. Caligari's Cabinet, which is a famous German movie. Yeah. And then if you want to talk about another great one, it's Metropolis.
I've heard of Metropolis, but I've never seen more than like a 30-second clip of it.
It's a very intense movie.
That's what I understood from the clip. Giant robots, right? At one point.
Yeah, there is a giant robot part, but it really dives more into the industrial society.
The clip I saw was just this giant robot, and I'm like, yeah, that stuff's scary. I want to learn more about robots.
But anyway, I think we got a little bit sidetracked there. But even though Nicolas Cage is not too much of a sidetrack because he is, I think, the grandson of Francis Ford Coppola anyways.
He is?
Yep.
No, he's the nephew.
Oh, nephew. Okay.
He's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. And, really with The Godfather, it wasn't meant to be like some in-depth review necessarily of the film. I really was this introspective view of our own experiences based on the film, what we think of it. For me, Francis Ford Coppola, I went and visited one of his wineries in Sonoma County, one of his wineries, and there they had the desk that's in all 3 of the Godfather movies, and I so badly wanted to break the rules. The Godfather would have. But I actually played true to the rules and did not go sit. No, I did not. I literally just took a picture of the desk, and I'm like, that's so cool. But they also had a lot of great things. Francis Ford Coppola, for me, much like Scorsese, is this phenomenal director who has done so many great things. And now he makes great wines, by the way.
Yeah, right.
If you guys don't know that, he makes great wines. And he's just really added. Here's what's important to me when I think about people like that. Did they add? or take away. And a person like Francis Ford Coppola, to me, added to so many lives of people who don't even appreciate what he did. You have been impacted by the movie The Godfather, whether or not you know it, if you're still alive today.
I would agree with that. And, we probably should point out, too, some of the other actors. James Caan.
Oh, yeah.
He was in that movie.
Sunny, but he
plays
femme
the older.
fatale.
Yeah, definitely a femme fatale. He was the older brother. He was a little bit of a loose cannon. And
gets machine gunned down.
Yes.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie from 1972.
And then another great performance in the movies was Robert Duvall.
Actually, Robert Duvall got, that's another thing about this movie. Sorry, I did just interrupt you. But Robert Duvall got an Academy Award for a supporting actor role, much as Marlon Brando got an Academy Award. These are the 4th to 5th Academy Awards for Best Actor. And that's right, Francis Ford Coppola got an award for Best Director.
All deservedly so.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting, the directing was incredible in this movie. One person we probably may overlook, and it wasn't like her acting was like all that great in this movie, but it was Talia Shire.
Okay.
Who happens to be Adrian from the Rocky movies. Adrian!
I think a lot of people get overlooked because this movie was so dynamic. 2 hours, 15 minutes long. We talked about that. Somehow this guy watched 1 and 2 in a day. And I'm like, isn't that like 6 hours worth of movies? And he's like, no, man, that was 7. That was why there's an intermission. And I'm like, all right, man.
I didn't watch them both in one day. I watched one on one day, one on the another day.
Dude, either way, it's impressive. That's a lot of video in 2 days.
And oddly enough, though, a lot of what I remember from The Godfather actually comes from Godfather 2.
I can understand that. And, another great thing about this movie is, unlike a lot of movies today, definitely different than The Matrix, it was almost all filmed on location, either in New York City or Sicily.
That's actually pretty cool.
You know what else is cool? So we got Francis Ford Coppola. And I think this is another piece true to the time and true to life of the time. Actually, whether or not he threw a bone out to his dad or not, his dad wrote some of the scores for the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The score was actually great.
Yeah, I don't know that his dad did all the great ones, but his dad did some of the scores for the movie. And when I think about that, I'm like, man, that's just cool when you know your dad's talented anyway, and then you still keep a piece of it in the family. And I think if nothing else,
kept it in the family.
It pays a little homage to the fact that, man, we're writing a movie about family, and I believe in that.
So here's the thing. Here's a question for you. Would you do what Michael did?
Oh man, which piece? Like risk it all?
Yeah, where he assassinates, because right now, in this
goes
movie,
in and kills.
Yeah, so he's basically known as a civilian, so he's pretty much out of the family as far as like the mafia part is concerned.
Right, ex-Marine, did some time, served America, and I think that's what makes probably the later Godfather movies that much more meaningful. Also.
Exactly, and then but then he goes and he kills the chief or the police captain or something like that, and along with a rival mafia member.
In a little Italian restaurant.
And then he ends up leaving to go live in Sicily for a while until things cool down.
Yeah, the war was raging.
So would you have done that?
Dude, man, that's a tough question. So yes.
You didn't even have to think about it.
Because politically, you can't say that kind of stuff right now. But if I'm in that time, that day, that age, and I'm in that position, you got to really consider anyone who's gone to war and come back. And we're talking about that war that really didn't respect any of the people that came back from it. He comes back as a Marine, and he's not getting respect. He's a fighter. But now he's got family, and his family's asking him to do things. And at the end of the day, even though he risked his life for all of America, what he knows of the response to that is, yeah, man, like, he better go find a job and work even harder because that doesn't mean much to us. Whereas it did to his family, where it did. And so they ask him, they literally, like, at the end of the day, he's asked to do this shitty job, and he does it. And I think for me, yeah, if I put myself in that role, I do it.
Hands down, yes.
Yeah.
I would too. And if it wasn't for Michael, Vito, his dad, would have been killed.
Yeah, and his brother Sonny would have been killed much earlier.
Exactly, and you could tell he was the future of the family. Though he's the one who had the brains. He was
smart, and I hate to say this, but because I like the thought of my son never becoming a Marine scares me, but I think he gained a lot from the Marines.
I think he gained a lot from the Marines, but then he also learned how to take advice from like someone like his dad and stuff like that.
Now you also got to ask, and we already know this. Yes, the mob and Hollywood were intimately involved. Is that what, part of developed some of these, Al Pacino in particular's lifelong roles in Hollywood?
Could be.
I'm guessing there was some influence there, and rightfully so, though. And like Al Pacino, when you think of Al Pacino, and I know I'm going to ask this before I shout out a movie or two. When you think of Al Pacino, what movies immediately come to mind?
Okay. First movie immediately comes to mind is Godfather.
Okay.
Hands down. Second movie, Scarface.
Okay.
Then after that, it gets a little bit more hazy for me with Al Pacino, but probably I go maybe something like along the lines of one of my favorite movies of his is Son of a Woman.
Okay, so here's what's interesting. For me, when I think of Al Pacino, what I immediately think of is actually he did a documentary on finding Shakespeare and about one of the kings, and it's absolutely amazing. It was great. Marissa had this Shakespeare class she took, and she came home and told me about this, and I had to see it because Al Pacino did a great job rendering a role in one of the plays, and he had done a ton of research. I watched this. I believe it was Henry V. It's whoever had the hunchback and was all jacked up. But it was amazing. And I literally, because of that, seeing his real life interest, energy, drive, desire to play this role and understand the character, because most of Shakespeare is historically based. It's not just a novel nonfiction or fiction, but it is more nonfiction than fiction. The Queen was granting him the gift to write certain stories, and because of that, Shakespeare was aimed to make this particular king look terrible, whereas maybe this king wasn't. So Al Pacino goes on this role. Second for me is actually Scent of a Woman. I think this is one of my strengths and weaknesses is this romantic. And I think Al Pacino in that movie, again, ex-military, does a great job, kind of abandoned by his country, but does this amazing job really being a solid core person that whether or not he's doing good or bad, I don't mind being that guy. Like I would love to be that guy because you know what? At the end of the day, he did more good than bad. And so after that, that's when I go to Heat.
Oh, Heat.
Oh my God, dude.
Heat was a great movie.
And I don't know why, but I think part of that has to do with other actors, which are considered terrible actors, like Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer did a great job in that movie too.
I know, but people hate Val Kilmer.
But I think the one thing about Heat, though, really, what they did well there is they pitted De Niro versus Pacino.
Brilliant. They did such a great job. So after Heat, then we get more in line with
father versus son.
Yeah, no shit.
Because De Niro plays Vito Corleone.
Yeah.
And
I know.
And Godfather too. I'm just saying that for the people who don't know.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And he is this amazing movie. And like at the end of the day, it ends how it should end. And I hate it. Because the true good guys win. But the bad guys who were living with passion lose and die. And I hate that because I want people to be able to live with passion and with drive and to go after what they want. And I don't know if they were really bad people, but they were doing bad things. So ultimately, the answer is yes, they were bad people. But I hated the
I don't know
ending.
if they're bad people, but they're doing bad things.
Well, now you go back to The Godfather. Bad people doing bad things. But I love it. And so it's interesting, though, because for me, Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, number 1, Streetcar Named Desire, number 2, The Godfather, day in, day out. For me, Al Pacino in The Godfather, even though he is huge and pinnacle as far as roles with all of The Godfather, the trilogy ultimately, that's like the 5th movie in the list of movies I think of when I think of Al Pacino. And I really think of Shakespeare because of the impact. And I love Shakespeare, this. But then, I go to Scent of a Woman and then Heat. And I guess it's interesting because Al Pacino absolutely was the role. I think people really underestimate when you think about the movie and where it went and what it did. Without Al Pacino, The Godfather wasn't The Godfather. You need a son, and you need a smart son that people can believe in.
All right. Any final words you want to say on The Godfather?
No, it's a great movie. I actually do think Citizen Kane, for me, if I am honest, and I don't necessarily want to say this because they're my favorite movies, I don't really enjoy watching Citizen Kane. I don't enjoy it at all. But when I watch it and I look at the cinematography, and I look at the different scopes and the views and the way they pan in and pan out and side to side and zooming and everything else that they do, black and white, by the way, guys, it is not fun to watch, but it absolutely changed the movie world. Right behind that, Godfather number 2, absolutely for me. Godfather is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, we probably spoiled a few things, but it's an amazing movie. And I think one of the reasons you started off by saying this, that it's such a big movie to me, is because the men in this movie have a code. Whether or not we agree with it, whether or not we like it, they all live by a code. Most of them die by that code.
I would agree with that. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I love it. It really kind of shows a little bit of the Italian or Sicilian kind of like backgrounds a little bit. And being that I am part Sicilian, I kind of enjoy that.
There you go, man. That's why you're so dark.
It's either that or the Japanese blood. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's not the Portuguese or the Spanish version, but it's still,
they had some heat in them too.
Yeah, they did. I went, yeah, whatever. I'll stop there. But I think I love the movie. I love the whole time frame that they're in. It kind of shows, it kind of romanticizes a little bit about the mafia during that time frame. And if you are a person with a code and you have that respectability or you have that kind of like love for your friendship, that you create a family, because there's a family you're born into and then there's a family that you make. And I think that kind of like shows it. And I don't know, I think there's a lot that you can pick from it. I think the code that they live by is, to some people, it would be skewed, maybe not a good thing, but maybe to others it is a good thing. And I'm not saying like doing
don't go around killing people.
Don't go around killing people, but yeah, I'm not saying that part's good. I'm just but there's a code that people should live by, and you should try to stick with that code, whatever your code is. So I think that's a great movie. That's all I gotta say about it.
That's it, man.
All right. So next week, we don't have the Scotch up yet.
You want to do the yard bag? What do you want to do, man? We got choices.
Okay, let's do the yard bag.
All right. So next week's Scotch, we're going to do the yard bag barbecue smoker, the Ann Away.
Ann Away. Ann Away. Ann Away.
Like, I hate that I love this canister, because the whole point of the tin or the canister is like this one. Well done, Dalmore, to keep the sunlight out so that it doesn't age prematurely. You get a Scotch you might hold on to for 10 years. This one has a bunch of goddamn holes in it, letting the sunlight right in.
It's marketing for Americans.
Dude, it's I love it. I just hate that I love it because it's not effective. Like, I literally am going to take...
Look, it says barbecue smoker on there, right?
Barbecue smoker.
All right, so
It's an Isla Scotch. We know we love them. It's going to be good. We're going to do some barbecue in some sort. We're going to test this mother out.
oh, we've had
We'll
it
have some
before.
fun.
Well, but yeah, we'll test it out for the show.
In the barbecue.
In the barbecue. Oh yeah, that. So to stay on theme with the restaurant that we're gonna go to, which is a new restaurant that I think it says Crave Hot Dogs. I think that's what the name of it was, or something like that. So having to do something with hot dogs or gravy, I'm not sure. But anyways, another alumni from the University of Colorado Boulder opened up the store, and I said that our podcast would go do dinner there one time and do a review. So being that it has to do with hot dogs, I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, I'm throwing out a lot of hot dogs. I am going to make our Smarter Challenge for next week is movies that define summertime.
Ooh. All right. Immediately I go to romance. I hate this. She's the one.
I mean, that could be anything. It could be like, think of like summer camp type of stuff.
Dude, Youngblood. It's about hockey. I don't know why I think of the summer when I think about that movie, but I think about the summer.
How do you think about like hockey?
I don't
in
know, because
summer?
maybe in like Canada, it's different. I don't know. Man.
There was like those old meatball movies.
Yeah, dude, where it's all yeah, exactly. For those of you that don't know what meatball movies are, it's about young guys getting their nut off,
At a summer camp.
or any other situations like a hotel.
Well, the
where-
movies were at a summer camp.
and then comes out all the movies to try to stop you from doing that, like Jason, Friday the 13th.
I mean, that's at a summer
Freddy
camp
Krueger.
too.
That's what I mean. Like literally, if you look at when they talk about why these movies came out, Friday the 13th in particular, it was to beat the meatball movies. Some people were like, "This is a bad idea,
Or
guys."
you can even do something like the road trip.
Euro trip, road trip, any of these. Dynamite.
What'd you do? Kill a cheetah?
One of my favorite lines of any movie. Guys, guess what? Euro trip's better though. Dude, that was your sister.
Or there's even stuff like Major League Baseball movies.
Yeah, those are all there. Any of them.
Any
That's
of
what I
them,
mean,
yeah.
though. Like, most people think about baseball. I never go to baseball. I go to, like, hockey. So I went to the hockey equivalent. Youngblood.
I love hockey. But,
I enjoy hockey. I had a ton of fun playing hockey when I was young.
all right, so that's the Smart Challenge. So do you have anything for the people?
Hey, a couple quick things. Drink responsibly. There's a lot of people out there who just celebrated Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. You know, we're mentioning this just a few days late from our, when Mother's Day was and when you're watching our show. I got to give a shout out to Robert Graham. I love this shirt. Nice job. I ordered it from Patrick James 3 months earlier than it actually came out, but I still got it delivered. Thank you. I love it. Man, it feels good. It's cut well. Nice detail. And please continue to give us feedback. Like, share, subscribe. The feedback's the biggest one. What do you like to see? What do you not like to see? Do you like these movie reviews? Do you want us to be more critical? Do you want more details? Do you want to show you all the pictures of the meals, all the pictures of the movies? We have to be really careful there because we've gotten ourselves in some touchy waters showing some of the clips we have, just because we're not trying to take anything away from the movies we review, but sometimes they don't like us showing a couple seconds of it. So with that, though, nonetheless, please give us feedback. Let us help us. We want to be great for you. Let us know how.
Awesome. I think you did. I think you said everything we need to.
Dude, I got to say, though, this scotch is a pleasant surprise.
It is a great scotch.
When I bought it, I thought it would be good. It's almost too smooth.
So real quickly, for those of you who are watching us, thank you. You're probably watching us on YouTube or Rumble. If you're listening to us, thank you once again for a wonderful last month. We had our best month ever where we had more than 70 downloads.
That's awesome.
Which is that's definitely a growth spurt for us. So if you are listening to us on Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any of the other places, we greatly thank you as well. If you want to become a patron member, that will be down below. That's the very first link in our comment section or description area. And it'll be Podbean Patron. And with that, thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully you have a great night. The same Scotch time, same Scotch channel. Scotchman!
Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.